Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So yesterday we studied the Kaliya pastime. And we also studied how Krishna saved Sandipani Muni's son, brought him back from the dead. And now we're going to study about Rukmini and Krishna's beautiful union. I can start reading and then you can take over, Rasastali, if you like.
Okay.
Some years passed, and one day a Brahmin visited Krishna in his palace. After being received with great respect, the Brahmin said, "Lord, I bear a letter from Princess Rukmini." Krishna listened intently as the Brahmin read Rukmini's words. "My dear Lord, having heard of your limitless virtues, I have set my heart on you. Please come to my city, Kundina, and take me as your wife. There is no time to lose, for tomorrow I am supposed to wed Shishupala. If that happens, I shall die. Please save me." Krishna at once had his chariot made ready. As the sun was setting, the Lord boarded it, and his charioteer Daruka urged on his 4 great steeds. In a single night, they covered 1,000 miles, arriving in the festively decorated city of Kundina, just as Rukmini was coming out of her father's white marble palace. Here, I wanted to pause because this personality, the Brahmin who actually brought Rukmini's letter, is not an ordinary person. That person actually later on became Vadiraja Tirtha. I want to show you the picture of Vadiraja. Vadiraja Tirtha is actually a very famous Madhva saint, Madhva Acharya in our Sampradaya before the time of Lord Chaitanya. But after the time of Madhvacharya. And he is known to be very, very powerful Acharya who established the worship in Udupi Math, who had the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually come and protect him and save him. There is a deity of Vadiraja Tirtha in Sonda. I'm opening some pictures to show you. So Vadiraja Tirtha, this is Vadiraja Tirtha. Very, very powerful personality. So one of the major pastimes is that he actually, by the way, he wrote later on means in this Vadiraja Tirtha lifetime, he wrote so many literatures, and one of them is called Rukmini Vijaya. This is the whole Leela and the pastime where Krishna conquers Kundina and takes Rukmini. So it's called Rukmini Vijaya. It's beautiful, beautiful composition. It's a poetry. And this picture, what you're seeing here, is actually the Lord every day, Vadiraja Tirtha would offer bhoga, right? And the Lord Hayagriva would actually come and eat that prasad. So some of the envious god brothers or people around, they suspected that he was only eating it and there was no Lord coming and eating. So what they did, they poisoned that food so that, Vadiraja Tirtha will eat and die, because they were so envious about his growing fame. So one day, like this, see, the Lord would come like this every day, like this in the horse incarnation, and put his 2 legs on the shoulder of Vadiraja Tirtha and then eat up the, it's actually called Hayagriva. There's a sweet in Karnataka. It's called Hayagriva. So it's made from nice dal. It's amazing sweet. If I come to your place or you come to my place, I can cook that for you. It's made with jaggery and gur and kadle bele, we call it. So what is it called? I don't know how it's called in English, kadle bele. So it's very, very delicious sweet. So it's favorite of Hayagriva deity. So every day he would make that offering and Hayagriva would come like this and eat. So one day when there was poison, the Lord ate it and the Lord's body became blue. The horse became blue. And then Vadiraja Tirtha asked, what happened? Why you become blue? And then the Hayagriva deity told that these people they suspect your devotion, and so they're trying to kill you. And so they have poisoned this food. But obviously you can eat this food now. I have decontaminated it. So Vadiraja Tirtha ate the Mahaprasadam in front of all the onlookers who had poisoned it. And obviously his fame grew even more. So like that, Vadiraja Tirtha is very, very powerful. And he is known as the Bhavi Samira, which means he's going to be the next Vayu. He's going to become the next Vayu. In Madhva Sampradaya, everything is about hierarchy and waiting, and Brahma position is the ultimate. So they are always like proceeding in that direction of becoming Brahma. And Vadiraja Tirtha is going to be the next Vayu. Bhavi Samira. Bhavi means would be. Would be. Samira is the Vayu. So very powerful. So this is the same personality who brought the letter of Rukmini Devi to Krishna. And no wonder he wrote amazing this Rukmini Vijaya. Maybe I will share some other time the Rukmini Vijaya. Let me see if I can find any Rukmini Vijaya. It's amazing. It's actually supposed to be considered as one of the important Sanskrit literatures created in that time. Let's see. So Rukmini Vijaya, I mean, this is Wikipedia page, but obviously in the Madhva websites, they have much more. Unquestioned supremacy is represented in that book, in that writing. The work begins with the compilation of number of stotras, including ones dedicated to Krishna, who is referred to as the Paramatma, Hayagriva, Rukmini, who is described as Krishna's supreme beloved consort, and Bhudevi. And the shlokas that describe the legend of Brahma praying to Vishnu for incarnating on earth as Krishna. It goes on to explain the story of Krishna, detailing his birth, eulogies, the birth of Balaram, Durga, with the first canto ending with the departure of Krishna to Gokula. The second entails the shlokas that begin with Krishna's entry into Gokula, etc., etc. And then the next few cantos describe the aftermath of deity love sport, Rasa Krida. And so many leelas are there. It would be interesting to read it. He wrote many, many, many books, but Rukmini Vijaya gained a lot of favor in the history at those times. There was the, I don't know exactly which rule it was, but in the political arena, his writings became very influential, and he was one of the greatest acharyas of Vaishnava Sampradaya. Madhva Vaishnava Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya. Like that. Okay, let us continue. So I really wanted to share about Vadiraja because I have been to Sonda and amazing mystical things happen there. Bhutaraj, you know, the deity who is in charge of all the ghosts is called Bhutaraj. And Bhutaraj actually became one of the disciples of Vadiraja Tirtha. He turned that ghost, boss of the ghosts, the king of ghosts, into devotee. And if you go to Sonda, they do this Bhutaraj puja in the evening to get, basically it's like to protection from ghosts and all this and all this. But obviously these ghosts also have to go through the evolution, right? So there's a whole procedure, there's a whole correctional facility above where when you look up in the sky, in that direction, there is a world of ghosts that's 3 times more population than humans. So in that world, the Bhutaraj is the head, and he is making sure that all these jivas also have their own evolutionary process, and they go through. Some of these go to moon planet and become vegetables, and etc., etc., so that they can also take birth in human forms and other forms. So ghosts also have hope. There is, again, nobody is eternally condemned. And if you go there in Sonda, you can actually, in the evenings, they do puja to Bhutaraj. And you can actually see a chariot. Like, I don't know if I didn't see a chariot, but you see something circling in the sky. So that is Bhutaraj coming to actually accept the worship. You can actually see it. It's amazing. It's amazing, amazing. It's like mind-blowing. And they say it's a chariot. Maybe it depends on your capacity to see it. I could see in the night, I could see this red light moving like a chariot, like moving in the sky like that. So that he was made devotee by Vadiraja Tirtha, actually, this Bhutaraj. So on and so forth. So basically, Rukmini Vijaya is composed by Vadiraja Tirtha, and Vadiraja Tirtha is the same Brahmin who gave the letter. And, oh yeah, I forgot to tell the important part. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, in Chaitanya Leela, there is a Brahmana, there is a matchmaker. His name is Vanamali. He's the one who actually brings the proposal of Lakshmi Priya's proposal to marry Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is stated that it is the same person as this Brahmin who brought the letter. See, in the Lord's Leelas, the great devotees keep appearing again and again in different forms, in different Leelas, and doing different services. And it always fascinates me how these devotees come again and again to assist the Lord in different ways. All right. Rajastali, would you like to continue?
Okay. Thousands of kings had come to see her wedding. Struck by Rukmini's exquisite beauty, many fell in a swoon from their horses and chariots. Surrounded by girlfriends and armed guards, the princes gracefully proceeded to the temple of goddess Durga to offer traditional respects before her marriage. Kneeling before the goddess, the anxious girl prayed that Krishna would become her husband. As she left the temple, she saw a handsome prince with the complexion of a dark monsoon cloud approaching her on his chariot. He was dressed in yellow robes, decorated with sparkling jewels and a garland of lotus flowers, and he sported a peacock feather in his golden helmet. Immediately recognizing her lord from the many descriptions she had heard, Rukmini felt her heart surge with joy. Krishna advanced fearlessly towards the smiling princess, took her by the hand, and swept her up onto his chariot. As the other kings looked on with open-mouthed incredulity, he slowly rode away. His brother Balarama, who had followed him with the Yadu army, began to beat back the belligerent king as they came to their senses and gave chase to Krishna. In a very short time, they were all overcome, and the victorious Krishna left the city with his prize. Some time later, it came to Krishna's attention that King Nagnajit of Koshala had set a humanly impossible challenge for the hand of his beautiful daughter Satya. As the indwelling supersoul, Krishna knew that this girl had long cherished the hope of marrying him. He just set out for Nagnajit's kingdom. The pious king was overjoyed to see him, and after a fine reception he showed Krishna the test he had set. 7 huge and ferocious bulls were kept within a great arena, and to win Satya's hand, Krishna had to subdue the tether them all. Many hopeful kings and princes were attempted this test, said the king. All of them were defeated by the bulls, their limbs and their pride smashed to pieces. Preparing to face the bulls, Krishna tightened his waist sash. Be wary, said Nagnajit. These animals are infuriated by the mere smell of a man. Krishna strode into the arena and at once expanded himself into 7 forms.
Yeah.
Without difficulty, he caught hold of each of the 7 bulls and roped them to the large stakes at the edge of the pen. The beaming monarch brought forward his daughter and placed her hand in Krishna's. As the newly united couple were en route to Krishna's kingdom, they were ambushed by the kings who had failed to win the princess. Showers of arrows rained down to Krishna, but Arjuna, who had accompanied his friend, single-handedly drove back the antagonists. One day Indra came to Dwarka, seeing Krishna's protection. A powerful demon named Bhamasura had attacked the heavenly planets. Amongst the many celestial items he had plundered were the jewels earrings of goddess Aditi, the god's mother. Hearing this complaint, Krishna, taking with him his wife Satyabhama, mounted his eagle carrier Garuda and set off to Bhaumasura's kingdom Pragjyotisha. He smashed through the demon's heavily guarded fortifications and after cutting off Bhaumasura's 5 roaring heads, he recovered Aditi's precious earrings. Bhaumasura, also known as Narkasura, was the son of the earth goddess Dharitri by Krishna himself in his boar incarnation Varhadeva. At first, Narkasura had been devoted to the Lord, but by the association of the demon Bana, he became corrupted. After killing Narkasura and enthroning the demon's son, Bhagadatta, Krishna took a tour of his palace. Then he discovered 16,100 captive princes. When they saw the Lord, they were enchanted. With great feeling, they entreated Krishna to marry them. Touched by Bhaumasura, no other man will now accept us in marriage, nor will our fathers welcome us. Therefore, kindly marry us and give us your protection. Krishna agreed and arranged for them to be carried in royal palanquins to Dwarka, where they were each given their own palace. He then flew with Satyabhama to the heavens and returned goddess Aditi's earrings. Whilst in Amravati, the god's opulent kingdom, Satyabhama saw the celestial Parijata tree. Captivated by its exquisite fragrance, she remembered how Narada had once given her co-wife Rukmini a Parijata blossom. She asked Krishna if she too may have such a flower. Krishna, pleased with Satyabhama's devotion, smiled. Why are you asking for only one flower? I will give you a whole tree.
This is one of my favorite pastimes. It's very interesting. Okay, let's read. Somebody else likes to read? Otherwise, Rasasthal, you can continue.
He uprooted a parijata tree and after placing it on Garuda's back, proceeded to Dwarka. Indra's wife, goddess Sachi, became enraged. How dare Satyabhama take one of their precious trees? She returned to her husband. Stop them. They are stealing our tree. Incited by his wife and forgetting Krishna's supreme position, Indra attacked the Lord with the help of the other gods. Without killing them, Krishna defeated them all. On returning from the heavens with the Parijata, Krishna displayed his unrivaled mystic power by expanding himself into 16,100 forms. He entered each prince's palace and married them individually in pompous ceremonies. Talking, joking, exchanging loving glances, Krishna lived with every queen simultaneously like the perfect husband. In each one of them he begot 10 sons equal to himself. Meanwhile, after Kamsa's death, his two wives lamented piteously, sorrowfully beating their breasts. The princes returned to their father's palace in Magadha. Jarasandh smashed his son iron-like fist against the wall. He decided to avenge his daughters by killing Krishna and the entire Yadu dynasty. 17 times he marched on Mathura with a vast army. Each time Krishna destroyed his forces but spared his life. When Jarasandh attacked Mathura for the 18th time, the Yavana king Kalyanvana simultaneously besieged Mathura with 30 million soldiers. Wanting his devotees to get the credit for slaying both kings, the Lord refrained from fighting them, choosing instead to protect his citizens by relocating them to the fortress city Dwarka. After this, he returned to the battlefield where he was challenged to Kalyanvana. Declining to fight, Krishna fled into the mountains with Kalyanvana in hot pursuit. He chased Krishna up into a cave where he saw a sleeping figure. Thinking it was Krishna, the Yavana king violently kicked him. The sleeping man was King Muchukunda, who had been resting for thousands of years. The gods had given him the benediction that by his mere glance he could burn to death anyone who woke him untimely. Thus Kalyanvana's body was at once consumed by flames. Meanwhile, Jarasandh assumed Krishna had been killed and he returned to Magadha. Several years
My grandfather would teach me shlokas at night, and he would teach this about Muchukundo Mahamunihi. We are supposed to remember Muchukunda every day. I don't know why exactly at night, but I guess because we go to sleep and like a day of rejuvenation, I don't know, something like that. Muchukundo Mahamunihi. I remember that. Okay, please continue. Several years later.
Several years later, empowered by Krishna, Bhima slew Jarasandh in a wrestling match. On another occasion, Shishupala's friend Shalva attacked Dwarka. When Krishna kidnapped Rukmini just before her wedding to Shishupala, Shalva was one of the kings who futilely tried to stop him. After his defeat at Krishna's hands, Shalva performed severe austerities to petition a benediction from Shiva. He received a powerful warplane with which he terrorized Dwarka. At the time of Shalva's attack, Krishna was intraprasth with the Pandavas. Krishna's valiant sons defended Dwarka. When Krishna heard of the siege, he hurried home and personally killed Shalva. Many other malevolent kings were slain, such as Shambhara.
Okay, let's pause here. Any other pastimes or any realization related to this section? Anything, Taruni, Radha?
Oh God, I was laughing here. Hare Krishna. I was thinking about this Muchukanda's pastime. What I really liked about it is like how he remembers when he sees Krishna, he doesn't recognize him, and then afterwards he'll realize he is a supreme lord that he's been waiting. He remembers that when he was small, somebody would have seen his horoscope, and they'll say, "You're very fortunate in this lifetime. You will get to see the supreme lord." And then so he'll be like, he'll remember that, and then the mercy that he would have received, and then his thoughts will immediately go to that, because his whole life he'll be like waiting, who is this person, like that. So he feels intense gratitude for that person who would have informed him that he'll be getting a chance to have witnessed the Supreme Lord's darshan, like that. So I was just remembering that, like how we should be grateful to those who show us the path and guide us, like that. So that was one of the points about Muchukund. And how, despite him having the real duty that he is so, a valiant king, the demigods will ask him, please, can you help us in our war, in our fights. So being an earthly king, he'll be going up with the demigods, fighting on their behalf. He'll have such a huge battle. The battle will span for a long time. And Muchukunda will be there. So that's the reason he'll say, oh my God, these people will keep on troubling me, these demigods. So they'll say, ask any benediction. He'll say, oh, please give me the benediction so that I can sleep and take rest. And when somebody wakes me out, from my eyes, the fire thing will come, and then they will just be burnt to ashes. That is what Muchukunda would have actually asked. And when he actually sees Krishna also, then Krishna says, what do you want, Muchukanda? That's what he'll say. And then his desire, you should see how sweet it is. He'll say again, I just want to, I don't want to ever forget you, my Lord, like that. He'll say, I don't want anything else. I just want you. I don't want to forget you. I just want your service. And but my Guru Maharaj says that he doesn't go back to Godhead in that same lifetime. He'll take another lifetime because he'll have some other service. I forget what he is in the next lifetime, but he'll take another birth, and then in that particular birth, he'll be doing some service to the Lord, and then perhaps he goes back. So he was saying, like, we don't know, like, if Krishna has some service, then, the devotee has to take birth again just to complete that service. And when Krishna says, yes, come back, and then the devotee says, yes, sure, Krishna. That's how it is.
Actually, that's relevant also, how devotees keep coming back to take part in Lord Chaitanya's pastime and everything. So the point, back to Godhead, is not something like, oh, go relax in a enjoying place. Back to Godhead basically means to be with Krishna wherever the Leela is happening, to assist his vision. That's actually a higher understanding of back to Godhead. It means like being part of the Lord's pastime, because the Lord's pastime is always happening in some universe somewhere all the time. So when we become part of that, that's us going back to Godhead. Godhead is not something where we can just go and relax and it's not like devotional service is not like a means to relax and sense enjoyment at the end. It's more about wanting to be with the Lord no matter with whatever circumstance, and being part of his mission, like that. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole explanation about how back to God it also means Gokula, being in Gokula, witnessing the Lord's pastime, like that. It's not like we go directly to Goloka Vrindavan. Actually, we first join the Lord's pastimes in whichever universe he's doing. Then after all that, we go back to Goloka, like Gokula. Gokula is the where we first go, where the Lord is performing pastimes. Then later, I don't know when, Goloka Vrindavan comes later. Something like that. I've heard some explanation.
Yeah, first it's Brahma Vrindavan, like wherever his pastime is taking place. And then it will be the the Golok Vrindavan, the Vrindavan. They're like non-different, but still you need to get some practice like that.
Right.
And you know what you were saying? I was just reminded. This one sannyasi had come like many years, like 10 years ago, beginning. And then we were like so much into like, back to Godhead and all. And then asked Maharaj, like, the sannyasi, I don't remember which sannyasi he was, but he's a sannyasi. I'm like, so, when we go to Vrinda, back to Godhead, like, it's back to Godhead like that. They're always saying. So when do you think we will go like that? We were asking me and some more devotees. And then the sannyasi was like, oh. And then he said, so what do you want to do over there? Enjoy, huh? Once you go back to Godhead, this is what you're planning to do? Then he just laughed. And then he said, no, that's not the way it is. You don't go back to Godhead just to enjoy. You should serve the Lord. That's how you get to go also. And that's what you're going to do over there. So it's not just about it's so miserable over here. We'll go and enjoy over there. That's not the mentality. We were like so much shocked to hear that, exactly what you're saying today. Yeah, that's so true.
I mean, like we have, as you said, we think this world sucks, so let me go there, because in that world, everything will be as I want, because we think that when I surrender to Krishna and Krishna removes all my difficulty, then life will be as I want. That's what we think. We think that Krishna's will means, everything will be comfortable for me. Then no, we become so open to become lovers of Krishna, servants of Krishna, that nothing else excites us. Not even comforts of this world is attractive anymore, because we're so addicted to Krishna's service. And actually, those who have that taste, they're not even eager to go back to Godhead. They are very happy here. I mean, I'm thinking of happy meaning, happy to be in service. My Guru Maharaj, for example, he could have gone back. He could have left. Who wants to be in that body, with the strokes and so many organs not working? Who wants to be in that body? Nobody wants to be in that body. But for him, it doesn't matter even being in that body, because he wants to be part of the mission. He wants to serve the Lord. He wants to serve. The eagerness to service is so much. So for great devotees, back to Godhead is not some, like you were saying, a place where, there is like relief from material suffering. So let me go there. For great devotees, go back to Godhead. They are already back to Godhead because of the mentality, because of the attitude. And that's why they're qualified to go back to Godhead. Whereas for the rest of us, it's a little bit of we're not really qualified, because we're like, I want to get out. I want to go back to Godhead. We think it's like a vacation spot or something.
Yeah, so nice. Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita also, like, the Antakale Chamameva, there he's like, in one of those purports, he's saying that before the time of death, we should have actually had that consciousness. Only when we have that consciousness when the death comes, we'll be in the same consciousness and then we'll go. So it's not like at that moment that, that big divine consciousness will just descend like that. That can happen by, causeless mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But otherwise, for all of us, like we have to really strive for that consciousness before, we meet that end. So Prabhupada says. And the second one is like how you were telling about that service, right? I was thinking about Madhavendra Puji again. He says that, in your service, my Lord, while I'm doing the service of getting this sandalwood, there is so much of difficulty. But this difficulty is so much bringing me so much joy and bliss in my heart, because I know it pleases you. So any difficulty that these pure devotees are doing, all those difficulties are, for them it's joy, for them it's bliss, because they know God, the Lord is so much happy. So for them, it doesn't even feel like it's pain, like how you were telling Maharaj, right? Maharaj. For him, it is bliss only, because he knows the Lord is very pleased. When his spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada's mission is getting done, the Lord is very pleased. So for him, it's bliss only, like that.
Right? We can learn what is the priority. As long as this body is in service, I like my husband often says, don't think of what he says, like don't think about how your body looks. Think about how you're using the body in the service of the Lord.
Wow. Yeah.
Because Bhajagovindam says, Ma kuru dhan jan yauvan garvam harati nimesha kala sarvam maya mayamidam akhilam hitva. So it is saying in that song that my people, my followers, all the Instagram followers, all the likes, all the youth, the money, all these things will be taken away like that, like in a second. Harati nimesha kala sarvam. Kala take everything in a second. So why are we thinking of, oh, how are we using it? Like a lot of people come to me for astrological consultation, ask how long I'm going to live. And like, it doesn't matter how long you live, it's how you live that's important. Even if you just one day, you could live in Krishna. If you live 100 years, you could do it in agony and misery. So Krishna consciousness itself is Sukham Kartum Avyayam. When we are Krishna conscious, we are already happy. We are not hankering after anything else. Bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kangshati. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So when we are in Krishna consciousness, we are not hankering, not lamenting. Hankering is in the mode of passion. Oh, I wish this will happen, that will happen. The control. And then so Shochati is like lamentation. Oh, I should not have done that. This should not have happened. That something else should have happened. That's Sochati. So no Shochati, no and no Kangshati. So we are in the present. So that's what means Krishna consciousness. In the present, thank you, Krishna. Thank you for now. Because now is all you have. You cannot change your past. You cannot control your future. Right now is all we have. So right now we ask Krishna to take over like that. Okay, let's see who else he kills. Like to read. Tarun, you want to finish reading a little bit, 5 minutes more?
Okay, Mataji. Many other the last line of the previous page here. Many other malevolent kings were slain, such as Shambara, Dvivida, Bana, Mura, Balbala, and Dantavakram. Some Krishna killed personally and others were slain by Balarama or by Krishna's devotees such as the Pandavas. Still, the world remained burdened by many more warlike monarchs and their vast armies. They were so numerous that the earth would tremble when they marched into battle. Krishna arranged to kill all these soldiers along with their kings on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In that terrible war, in which millions of warriors died, Prince Duryodhana, the leader of the demoniac forces, was defeated, along with his brother Dushasana, his dear friend Karna, and his maternal uncle Shakunu, who had all been his close advisors. Although Krishna advised Bhima how to defeat Duryodhana, the Lord was saddened to see him lying on the ground with his body smashed. Krishna awards just punishments to the living entities, but he is never pleased to see them suffer. This shows the heart of Krishna, how soft it is. At the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord considered the situation. The earth's burden of impious military forces was finally removed, yet he knew she would soon experience an even more unbearable burden. When he ended his pastime and withdrew his family members, the earth would feel the terrible pain of their separation. How would this family, the others, leave this world? No force on earth could kill them, nor was there any likelihood of their death by natural causes. Their departure would only be possible if he arranged for them to quarrel and fight amongst themselves. In the meantime, however, Krishna enthroned King Yudhishthira as the emperor so that he would demonstrate an ideal, pious administration. Shortly before the coronation, Duryodhana's surviving commander, Ashwatthama attempted to avenge his master by slaying the unborn child of Abhimanyu, the son of Yudhishthira's brother Arjuna. The great hero Abhimanyu had died valiantly in the war, and his wife Uttara was pregnant with his child, the last remaining heir of the Kuru dynasty. Knowing this, Ashwatthama released a powerful Brahmastra weapon and destroyed the embryo. But Krishna at once entered the womb and restored the baby to life, remaining there to protect him until the danger had passed. On Krishna's advice, King Yudhishthira performed 3 expiatory horse sacrifices. Then, for many years, he ruled the earth, assisted by his younger brothers and in conformity to Krishna's will. The Lord's desire for the living entities in this world to revive their eternal loving relationship with Him and return to the spiritual kingdom at the end of their lives. As the ideal monarch, King Yudhishthira governed according to this principle. Consequently, the world flourished under his administration. Krishna ruled over Dwarka as a subordinate king under Yudhishthira's Yudhishthira's regime. He gave the ideal example of how a person detached from worldly pleasures and fixed in spiritual knowledge should enjoy life strictly in accordance with religious principle. I was just thinking about this much, like how you were saying, equipoise in happiness and distress in sadness, like how it is by the virtue of forgiveness, but again the Lord, like how the scriptures are given, and Krishna's own heart is like that the person, living entities of the Lord, they need not be miserable. I was thinking about this shloka that we always say that this place is Dukhalayam. He says that this place is Dukhalayam. He never says in the Shastras that you, the soul, please be full of dukkha, right? He's telling the place is full of dukkha, but you are a spiritual being, Satchit Ananda. So you be pleased, you be happy like that, right? Blissful, basically, not even happy. Equipoise in happiness and sadness, but you be blissful. You are the soul. That bliss will come only through devotional service, through following the scriptures, according to religious principles. So that point I remembered reading that. The Lord, whose beautiful body is purely spiritual and whose character is flawless, enjoyed affectionate exchanges, smiling glances, and sweet words with his pure devotees on earth, as well as with the gods. He displayed special attachment for his family members, Yadu, as well as for his wives, with whom he met in the leisure hours afforded by night. Krishna lived happily for many years with his wives, although completely aloof from worldly enjoyment. As the universal teacher, he remained a householder to teach others how to behave in married life. However, towards the end of his manifest absence, he fully exhibited his detachment. That's so beautiful. Uddhava side, materialistic people cannot accept that Krishna's apparently sensual activities are in fact transcendental, because they are controlled by Daivi Maya, the Lord's powerful material energy. They think Krishna is also. Only Krishna's devotees can understand the spiritual nature of his activities, whether agreed. What you say is true. Unintelligent people believe Krishna and his associates are ordinary conditioned souls. For example, I have heard some people argue that in offending the sages, his sons were influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. Uddhava frowned. This is their foolishness, Vidura. The cursing of the other princes by the sages was Krishna's transcendental pastime. Before departing this world, he wanted to graphically illustrate the dangers of offending his devotees. Wow. Please tell me exactly what happened. Listen, and I will describe everything.
Okay, we'll end here and we'll continue from here tomorrow. Thank you much for your attention. These are Krishna yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. This gives me hope that every morning I wake up and I ask Krishna, please remove my character defect, please remove all these unnecessary obstacles that is keeping me from becoming completely dedicated to you. Because, whenever I even if I take the name Vadiraja Tirtha, Rukmini Vijaya, all these kind of names itself is like, there is so much nectar that we can experience in this world. Like we can experience Godhead by absorbing ourselves into all this. And instead we sometimes become covered by the Kali Yuga's influence, and it's very difficult to put our mind into higher taste. We become so like trivial, as Taruni always says. Like think of, oh, I want my husband to behave better, or I want my relationships with other people to be more as I want. All these kind of small things we divert, but actually it's Krishna's mercy when things don't work out in the material world, because it's his way of saying, enough, you've done enough that side, come here, I'll give you something better, I'll give you something, I'll give you the higher taste. But we must be open for it. That's why material disappointments are good. I always tell my clients, pain is good. It's indication you don't need to go that direction. Disappointments are good, because we wasted so many lifetimes trying to find comfort in this world, and disappointments remind us that no matter how hard you work, at the end, disappointment is guaranteed. It's like kids playing in the seashore, building these sand castles. One day the waves will come and take it away. So that's Saturn. And there's always an end to everything. There's always death of everything, both. The Kalayam Ashashvatam. Yes, it's miserable place, but it's also temporary place. But like you said correctly, the happiness that can be derived in this world is not dependent, the happiness that we can experience as devotees is not dependent on the dukkha that is around us. Actually, they can actually be a, how do you call it? They can actually be, this dukkha can actually be a way, inspiration, a springboard, a reason to actually connect with the bliss that the soul can experience. When we read one verse of Gita, one bhajan itself is so much bliss. Why? Because we're in touch with Krishna, with free from all these conditionings. And that's what the great devotees experience all the time. Sometimes we experience momentarily some ecstasy, momentarily some devotion. So great devotees, regardless of their bodily condition, regardless of their mind being up and down, they always are experiencing that connection with Krishna. So that's our goal, and it's not possible overnight. It's a gradual process. So we are don't be hard on yourself. With gratitude, the journey will be faster. It will be smoother. Surrender means to accept our circumstances exactly what Krishna wants it to be. So thank you so much for your association. Always inspiring, and see you tomorrow. So today, if you want to join the emotional maturity meeting in the evening, evening, your morning, Taruni, for India time evening. Otherwise, see you tomorrow for Bhagavatam. Thank you. Any other closing thoughts?
I was thinking about how they were saying Krishna, like these ordinary people, Krishna's pastimes are so clever, even though they are like so charming to attract the hearts of the devotees. It looks like so mundane for an ordinary living conditioned soul. They just think of him as just another person, and because his activities are like that, even though they have some supernatural beautiful things like lifting Govardhans, many other beautiful things like Krishna displayed, killing of all the other demons, or even married 16,108 wives, right? And even expanding. And still, for those who are ordinary, they'll just look at it as like, oh, this is just nothing. That's how they will think. So I was just like amazed, like how smart and how clever Krishna is, right? But only those who are supposed to understand His divinity, His greatness. Only they will be able to understand. Those who are not fortunate enough or whose consciousness has not yet evolved to that stage, they will miss it, even though they see it, even though,
Oh, yeah.
clever is Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah. True. He gives faith in whatever we want to have faith in. Thank you, Rasastali. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. See you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.